Hi, we are talking to Mr. David Evangelista, Regional President and Managing Director, Special Olympics Europe Eurasia. Our conversation regards HR topics in general on the fields of your activity. Can you tell us what's the basic role of employees in the field of your activity?
We believe, and research and experience has shown, that companies that are more inclusive in their hiring practices experience greater employee morale, greater staff retention, and inevitably greater profit. It's also been shown that companies that employ people with intellectual disabilities and who support and engage that community through social programs and sport activities, they innovate, they diversify, they have stronger governance practices. And we believe that there's a great responsibility and opportunity for employees. Because at the end of the day, any business, any company, any enterprise is made up of people. And so individuals with intellectual disabilities offer the world an opportunity to connect at a human level, not through artificial intelligence, through real human connection, not contrived, very authentic. And when employees can experience that, they end up having a better, deeper understanding of their role, the company's role, the values and principles of that company, of that organization, of that enterprise. And in the process, you're empowering a community. And so I think there's a huge role for employees. And that's our experience, and that's our hope.
And if we talk about entrepreneurs, what's, according to you, their participation on this field? Is it sufficient, or does it have to increase?
Does what have to increase?
Their participation on...
Absolutely. Listen, people with intellectual disabilities are by far the most under or fully unemployed demographic in the world. In the world. This is not just Poland. This is the United States. This is the Western European nations, Balkans, Central Asia, you name it. It's the most under, if not unemployed demographic in the world. But let's look at this from a more statistical standpoint. Let's not look at it from a romantic standpoint. Let's look at it from a statistical standpoint. The population of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities represents roughly 3 to 4% of any national population. So if that's the case, you can consider that that's also the global population. Can you imagine 4% of the world's population unemployed? And so what are the options then? A burden to social welfare, a burden to family welfare, and of course, people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, namely across the economic South, the global South, what are their options? When you leave economically and socially isolated, a demographic of that size, it's regrettably an opportunity for bad actors to take advantage of these people. Trafficking, radicalization, any sort of crime and delinquency. And we've seen this. The United Nations has seen this. Other groups have seen this as well. So people with intellectual disabilities offer great talent to companies, a different type of talent to industry. And in doing so, you're offering your own marketing and your own company the opportunity to differentiate. And I think any company wants to show the community, show the consumers that they're different from the rest. This is the opportunity.
I just want to ask you also about the support of the state. Support for the entrepreneurs in terms to the activity on your field. Mm-hmm. Do you think the state support of entrepreneurs is already kind of a trend, or it's still something exceptional?
I'd have to do a lot more information gathering on the state support to entrepreneurs and in terms of inclusive employment and inclusion in general. I do know that the state of Poland, the country of Poland, and the government of Poland has been a big supporter of Special Olympics in the country for many, many years. So there is an understanding at the state level that inclusion is important. I believe, however, that if the government were to find ways to incentivize entrepreneurs to employ and to engage and to support the demographic of people with intellectual disabilities, I believe that it would not be a donation of sorts. It wouldn't be a charitable initiative. It would be a significant social investment that the country would reap big dividends, not only in profits, not only in economic profits, but in social profits, in community, in writing, of a narrative that people with intellectual disabilities have skills and talents and gifts to bring to companies and for those companies to grow. The same way that you would want that for any demographic, young people, minorities, all of those things. So my hope would be that the state would create those incentives. And we firmly believe, with 50 plus years of experience, that that investment in this demographic will inevitably become something that will reap big dividends for the country for many years ahead.
In terms to it, how do you judge Poland?
In terms of inclusion?
Yes.
Well, like I said, Special Olympics Poland is a tremendous organization, one that has shown great growth. You know, they're in over 20 regions across the country. They have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of participants. They work with industry leaders, foundations, government. They work with a range of a very diverse set of partners. I also think that Poland welcoming millions of Ukrainians, at a time of dire need, also speaks to the understanding that the Polish have about the power of inclusion and the power of accepting your neighbor, even though they may be different or in a different place. Listening to the Ombudsman this morning, clearly there's a lot of work to do, and we're committed to doing that work. We want to be a part of the effort of the Ombudsman, and under his leadership, the professor. We believe that there's opportunities to always be stronger, better, more efficient, and more focused on these themes. But we're very proud of the work that Special Olympics has done in Poland, and we're equally proud of the receptivity that the country has shown to our athletes. The First Lady of the country welcomed 2 of our athletes for breakfast yesterday to hear their perspectives about how the country is doing, how they're doing, how their families are doing. When the presidential palace, independent of ideology, when the presidential palace welcomes people with intellectual disabilities to hear their perspectives, to hear their voice, to gain their knowledge, what the presidential palace is really saying is this is the responsibility of the whole nation. In churches and synagogues and mosques all around Poland, and in companies and in community centers and sports clubs and individual homes, it's our responsibility to include. Not necessarily to agree, but to include. Everyone has something to give. Everyone has a gift and a talent to offer. I think the world needs that now more than ever. We're strife with conflict. We're strife with division. We can't, as I said earlier, we can't even agree to disagree, which is the fundamental premise of human connection. People with intellectual disabilities have a unique ability to get us focused, to get us grounded. And I think Poland understands that very well. We're celebrating a national winter games in 2 weeks. So the nation is invited to see it for themselves.
Can all these Polish activity on this field be an example for the rest of the world that is worth presenting overseas?
Sure, absolutely. In fact, in 2010, many years ago, of course, but in 2010, Poland welcomed the entire region of Europe, Central Asia, Balkans, even Israel, in terms of the Mediterranean, Cyprus, Greece. They invited the whole region. 58 countries came to Warsaw to celebrate the 2010 Special Olympics Regional European Games. So absolutely, Poland is a definitive example to bring to the European Union, to bring throughout Europe, and to bring to the world. Power is not only something found in brute strength or economic prowess. That's why they talk about hard power and soft power. People with intellectual disabilities have a huge power. Poland is harnessing that. And I believe that in the years to come, Poland will become even more of an example to Brussels, to Washington, to nations around the world, that inclusion works and inclusion's good, also good for business.
Thank you very much, Mr. David Evangelista, Regional President and Managing Director, Special Olympics Europe Eurasia. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Zadanie publiczne Rozwój misyjny i instytucjonalny Fundacji imienia XBW Ignacego Krasickiego jest sfinansowane ze środków Narodowego Instytutu Wolności Centrum Rozwoju Społeczeństwa Obywatelskiego w ramach rządowego programu rozwoju organizacji obywatelskich na lata 2018-2030.